Okay, and of course, even the issue of budget, defense budget and the scrutiny is also an issue that is completely not given proper attention. And we felt that there's a need for defense spendings and for the House Committee on Defense and Army should be able to provide some level of oversight. Okay, and that is an issue that also speaks to the issue of capacity, because when you have a defense budget and you don't even know what to look out for in that particular budget, or you don't even understand the military terms and terminologies, and of course somebody just comes and tells you issues around platform and hardwares and you don't even understand what those things mean, and you simply just say it is approved and in the name of national security we'll just allow these things go. In developed climes, people who are meant to oversight simply do some level of capacity in military academy to be able to understand how these things happen. I mean, and that is one thing that gives them an edge in terms of how they want to oversight, how they want to put implementation processes in place. So
what it means is that the gaps that exist still needs to be filled, not just by the military, but also by the bodies that oversight them. But before you answer that, before we come back and take a bit more, let's go to Lagos now and take some questions.
I'm just wondering, I mean, this report of yours, don't you think that is going to perhaps, because we know that these cases are in court at the moment and nothing has been decided, how did you come to the conclusions that you came at? Wouldn't it affect the matters that are going on in court?
Yeah, we also understand very clearly that it is sub judice to discuss issues that are currently in court. And that is why this particular report has simply looked at information in the public space. And based on that, we have done plenty of technical analysis. There was a technical process that went into what you currently see in that particular report. We looked at various issues that had to do with how operations had taken place in recent past, and for us we felt that this report is not indicting, is not pointing accusing fingers, is not conclusive, and research are oftentimes not conclusive, and that is why we have decided to say this is just an information that should help institutions to grow and become better. And that is why we felt that before this report was particularly made public, we had gone to present a copy of it to the Army headquarters for them to look at, and we had offered to provide some level of assistance in that process.
Well, the Army is not the court, so providing documents for reports providing the report you've done to the Army is one thing on the one hand, but this report being published, don't you think is going to make the public think, perhaps depending on the way the case goes in court, that wait a minute, I thought TI said this is what happened, how come the court says otherwise? Your report is capable of doing that now that it's out.
Yeah, I'm sure you know too well that media reportage and various information out there are also, this information is actually in the public space, and debates are ongoing on the subject matter. And this report is basically not meant to conclude trial and not to provide media trial on what is actually happening. It is simply an opportunity to offer help and assistance in terms of strengthening institutions and reinforce the president's commitment. I was also in London when the president made that particular commitment, and that particular commitment is meant, and it was not, there was no ambiguity in what he had said. He had said very clearly there are three clear mandate that he wants to achieve: to fight corruption, to fight insecurity, and of course to revamp the economy. And there is nothing that is in this report that is outside what the president's commitment has actually talked about. And we have actually gone to the Ministry of Defense, and we had told the Ministry of Defense this is what this report had actually identified, and we want to offer help towards ensuring that this entire issue does not happen again. We are not looking at it now. We are looking at futuristic reoccurrence because we want to prevent that. So what are the preventive mechanisms that are actually going to be put in place to ensure that this does not happen again? And that is basically what this report seems to achieve.
All right, well, I understand we're going to go to break in a moment, but we'll come back to you. But let me ask you this before we just go ahead, because it turns out that in one hand you say, well, your report is not conclusive, but in another breath it comes across as though you're conclusive on some of your recommendations here. Did you obtain documents from people who you spoke to about what actually was going on?
Yeah, like I told you, this particular report looked at various issues, and it happened in over 50 countries across Africa. Okay, and the findings in that report simply show that Nigeria is in Band E, and Band E means that our defense, we are at risk, at defense corruption risk, and we need to do something to be able to ensure that we don't even slip further the dangerous slope. And that is why this particular report looked at various issues. We relied on information from within and outside the institution in itself. What we did was to also look at various happenings that has actually occurred in the public space. We had analyzed information. We had monitored the institutions very closely. We have also looked at some of the cases that occurred in recent past. And it is simply mind-blowing that this issue is becoming an issue from the side of the military, because I had felt that...
Pardon me to butt in there to interrupt your thought. We need to go to break, but we'll be back and get you to conclude your thought in a moment. Don't go away. Welcome back, Mr. Hashim. I did ask you because, again, we heard the officials there of TI saying over 90%, or about 90% of those corruption cases are predicated on procurement. So I did ask, what kinds of documents did you obtain, or was that information derived from third-party information?
Yeah, absolutely. And of course, you know that disclosing source is also an issue. But of course, all of these findings were definitely based on a verifiable evidence. And of course, all of these issues we can find out there. And if you look at even the ongoing conversation on this subject matter, you would find very clearly that you cannot isolate completely what happened in the past from what this report is actually speaking to. And that is from the angle with which I want us to look at it. If the kind of response that is coming from the political government was what actually occurred then, tendencies are there that most of this issue would have been salvaged. Apparently, what we'll be saying now would have been completely different from what is ongoing. So for me, I think that there is a very strong need for us to look at this issue from a different angle, holistically, to be able to have a complete and a total solution to the current challenges. So finally, moving forward now, how do you intend, because it looks like there's going to be some hostility. If you look at the manner in which the military has responded, it doesn't look like they're going to be wanting to cooperate with Transparency International. Do you see a situation whereby you will approach them to persuade them that we meant no harm with this report that we have issued? Yeah, we'll go back to them. We are proposing to have a dialogue with them. We'll go back to them and discuss the issues further in details, just so that they understand that we were not just really reports out there, facts and figures are there to verify everything that we have said. We will go back to them and let them understand that all of these things that we have put in the public space does not speak to the current leadership of the Nigerian army. We have referred to what has happened in the recent past, and of course we cannot just dress the surface, and that is why we had decided to go into the roots of what happened in the past, so that this military does not also make the same mistakes. How soon do you think that will happen? We hopefully should be meeting with them later on this afternoon. And that is basically because we are committed to this process, and we are very much interested in the well-being and safety of the larger citizens. And of course, we are also helping to promote the integrity and the professional manner the military had done their work in recent times. Well, we have to thank you very much for coming on Sunrise Daily. Salahudeen Hashim is a Senior Program Officer, CISLAC, the National Chapter of Transparency International. Sunrise Daily will continue in just a moment. Just stay with us.